Tony Kornheiser, is that we're on ESPN too. That's what it is.
Well, there is that. Good to see you again, by the way.
And that, you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, if you make a decision to play a baseball game, I'm good with that. There are other decisions that I'm not as good with, but putting a live baseball game on an opening day, I'm fine with that. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. Wilbon apparently doesn't care about you like I do. So here in his stead is our great friend from the podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, Mr. Pablo Torre. And without a tie again, much to my consternation, we begin today with the 4 Sweet 16 games tonight. They are Alabama versus BYU, Florida versus Maryland, Duke versus Arizona, and Texas Tech versus Arkansas. Both Duke and Florida are number 1 seeds. Alabama's a 2. Texas Tech is a 3. Pablo, which is the most compelling Sweet 16 game tonight to you?
Tony, I'm going to your neck of the woods again. I'm going Maryland. I have confidence that we're going to see the 1 seeds again. I do. It's just that kind of a tournament where it feels like there is a talent difference at the top. So I feel like I can, in our coverage strategy for this weekend, I feel I can say, I'll see you guys down the road. But Maryland, I want to know what this Queen kid does for an encore. You know, he just signs the big NIL deal, Dairy Queen, sponsoring Derek Queen. Perfect, great. We saw him win the hearts and minds of people in that game with his own buzzer beater at the end. I want to know what a team coached by a guy in Kevin Willard who is contemplating actively taking another job is going to do with the opportunity in front of him with an NBA player we know is going to be gone in a matter of weeks. So Maryland, to me, is the story. Texas Tech, I think, is in danger of an upset.
Okay, you know, I'm going to get to Maryland in a second because, like you, I find it the most compelling game. But before I do that, I will say that I find all these games watchable. I don't see any routes out there. There is no Cinderella mid-major team up against a behemoth. The lowest seeded team is Arkansas. They are a 10. But if you watched Arkansas knock off Kansas and then St. John's, it'd be hard to call them an underdog. I will watch Duke because, like everybody else, I want to see Cooper Flagg. I want to see if he can get through a game without getting his eye poked out. I want to see if Tyrese Proctor is as sizzling hot from 3 as he was the other day. You know, I mean, I do want to see those things. But I think it's, you know, I'm not going to say that's a compelling game because Arizona is going to have to step up. Duke beat Arizona by 14 points, I think, in the regular season, and that was at Arizona. So I'm going to settle, like you did, on Maryland versus Florida for a variety of reasons. And one is that Maryland was lucky to get there, lucky to beat Colorado State on that last second shot in which the person who took it, who you talked about, took 3 steps. 3 big steps. I want to see Florida as a number 1 because I think they were fortunate, a little bit fortunate to beat UConn. And I've seen Florida score right around 100 points. They can run somebody out, but I didn't see it against UConn. And then let's get to Kevin Willard, who is the coach at Maryland, who publicly said, he publicly basically threatened to leave Maryland if they didn't come up with more money for the basketball team. He is essentially holding Maryland hostage, and he has won nothing. He has won nothing there. When I read that, I know a lot of people in this area in D.C. who love Maryland. I'm not saying I like Maryland very much, but when I read that, I said, wow, if I'm the chancellor of that school, I'm going to call them up and say, what are you doing? Like, you don't want to be here? There's the door if you don't want to be here. And he's a very good coach. So
he's negotiating in public, as all these guys do. But I do want to, if we're going to talk about coaches, I do just want to do a tip of the cap to Calipari. Tony, the idea that this guy gets to wear the costume of Cinderella while being so much better than that. This is a sport, as we know, in which the coaches tend to stay the same. This is a guy who has now moved to a new experiment, has thrived, and is going to get credit as a former David who gets to be Goliath and then David again. And that is a remarkable, again, as a matter of what I want to write about, it's Maryland, and to me, it's Cal and it's Arkansas. But we should turn the page in our metaphorical newspaper to the Lakers needing every second to get back into the win column last night. Because down 1 to the Pacers with time draining, Luka missed a floater, but LeBron tapped it in for the buzzer beater. And that win is the Lakers' first since LeBron returned from a groin pull, Tony. So does it restore your faith in the Lakers?
My faith? I I didn't know that I had any particular faith in the Lakers. I would have more faith now in Denver or Oklahoma City, but okay, I'll play the game. Here's what the Lakers did last night. They went on the road against a playoff team, Indiana, a team whose home record, I believe, was 24-9, the second best in the entire conference, a team that had won 5 straight games and its last 8 straight home games. They went there to play them, and their 2 best guys, LeBron and Luka, had not played together for weeks, and then they had 2 games together and they lost both games. And then on top of that, LeBron had no baskets for the first 3 quarters. 0 baskets from the field. He's been in the league over 20 years. That had never happened before. And with all that working against them, the Lakers won. So yeah, whatever faith I had would certainly be replenished and restored after last night. Yeah.
But I do want to continue the thought experiment of what if you were a beat writer covering this game, right? You begin to write your lead by halftime, and you're saying LeBron James in the middle of a media firestorm that he had a large role in, although I'm not here to debate who caused what. It's just clear that if they lose this game and LeBron is playing like that, this is a whole different conversation today. It's a whole different conversation potentially for the rest of the way. And so to me, this is LeBron James not only coming through in the clutch, it is him truly forcing lots of people to delete the things they were going to publish and say and yell from the mountaintops. And that, too, is a testament to the power of that guy and the awareness of that guy.
So he had 13 points in the game. That's all. That's 10, 12, 15 points below what he normally gets. But he got the winner, which is exactly what you're paying him for. Luka misses a shot. LeBron tips it in. So in a sense, they are working together. And I would highlight this. Did you see them hug after the game? They looked like champions, Pablo. They really did. They had that look of champions. Everything you're saying is true, but they won it. You know? They won it.
Well, the math of the NBA is a very simple one. We spend a lot of time trying to figure out the advanced statistics, or at least I do, on this side of the aisle. But it's always about superstars. They got 2 big ones, and if they like each other and the coach knows what to do with them, and the other noise they can enjoy but not get undermined by, then this is a formula for the Lakers to make a deep run.
We move on and we go to baseball. Today is opening day, which, as I said before, is why we are on ESPN2. There are 15 games on tap, but let's talk about the feature game tonight. That's the Tigers at the Dodgers. Okay, the Dodgers have already played twice this season, but those games were in Japan. This is opening day for the Dodgers in the United States, and here's the draw. The unanimous AL Cy Young winner, Tarek Skubal of the Tigers, against the unanimous NL MVP winner, Shohei Ohtani. Pablo, what will you be watching for?
I'm going to do the thing where I get to pretend for a day like this is a preview of something as opposed to the beginning of a very, very long ultramarathon. And so to me, I'm watching Ohtani. I'm getting to imagine what it's like when Shohei Ohtani, the greatest talent in the sport, goes up against a guy he is hitless against in Skubal.
That's right.
So to me, that's the one-on-one matchup I want to envision. Yeah, exactly. And so beyond that, Tony, the big picture is going to be the fact that the Dodgers are more than 4 times as likely, according to Las Vegas, to win the World Series than the next closest team, the Yankees or the Dodgers, depending on how your mileage varies on that. So to me, it's, can we see the pockmarks? Do we see the holes in the dam that is the LA Dodgers, who look to be set up to be exactly as dominant as they were last season?
Here is what I am going to be watching for first of all. I want to see the belt that Mookie Betts puts on to hold his pants up after he has lost at least 20 pounds to this virus. 20 pounds that he cannot afford.
Crazy.
The program weight for Mookie Betts is a very generous 175, which means he's in the 150s now. I don't think you can go 162 games down 20 pounds. He is no longer a light heavy. Now he is a welterweight. And Mookie Betts, he's just not some guy. He's one of the 3 or 4 best players in all of baseball, right? And he's playing shortstop this year, which is a stressful position. Like you, I want to see Skubal against Shohei, and luckily for me, it's going to be the first at bat of the bottom of the first inning, so after that I can go to bed. And he is 0 for 6 against Skubal lifetime, so if he gets any sort of a hit at all, it's really good. And I also want to see Blake Snell in his first start for the Dodgers. He won the Cy Young in the National League a couple of years ago, I believe, in San Diego. Look, he's a great pitcher, but he doesn't last long. To quote Justin Verlander, he's a 5-and-fly guy. So for 5 innings, Pablo, what we're going to have, or what we could have, is 2 Cy Young winners, 2 playoff teams, and 3 MVPs for the Dodgers, which to me would be worth watching.
Well, and by the way, one of those teams that you just mentioned that is full of all those stars, all those new Japanese players, you know, I say this to you all the time, they use that country like it's their farm system. I'm also excited to meet those guys. An advantage that nobody else in this sport, in any sport really, has when it comes to a geopolitical pipeline that feeds talent.
Well, what I would say about that is if they didn't treat those players well, they wouldn't keep getting those players, right?
Correct.
And I think people want to play with Ohtani. Let's take a break. Coming up, what's the word for Nikola Jokic's no-look assist last night?
And after all the speculation as to where he's going to play next year, could Aaron Rodgers actually retire?
Could Mookie Betts put on suspenders? Could he use suspenders? That would be fun to see.
You want to know how light these boxers are? I'm a light heavyweight. I qualify in that weight class. A little dissonant,
well,
don't you think?
Time to showcase our spectacular vernacular. And what's the word? That's a good phrase. What's first?
Nikola Jokic's pass was blank.
My word is magic, and you can use the allusion to Magic Johnson or to Houdini because it was that good. Brooke Lopez still hasn't seen it. Pablo, it took me 3 replays to figure out exactly what was going on. I mean, nobody expected that pass. Maybe Aaron Gordon expected that pass, but nobody else expected that pass. And I sort of wonder with Jokic, who does this so often, he's so good at this, is there a signal that he gives to teammates to indicate, I'm coming to you, even though it doesn't look like I'm coming to you? Now, I don't want to get in an MVP debate here. I don't need you to put up a spirited defense of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but he can't do this, all right? He doesn't have 30 triple-doubles this season. He has none. He doesn't have any. That's not what he does. This guy last night, Jokic, had 39 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. If you ask me who I want to build a team around, it's Jokic.
Yeah, I understand why you generationally go to Magic. It also allows you to do the big picture case for why he's a historical generational player. All of that is true. I'm sticking with the micro, though, with the pass in specific, which reminds me of Jason Williams, who, of course, was nicknamed White Chocolate. And so my word is White Toblerone. You remember Toblerones?
Oh,
you know Toblerones.
I do. I
Jumbo.
know. Yeah, I know what Toblerone
Jumbo
is. Yeah.
size. Like Jason Williams, but jumbo. That is Nikola Jokic, too. He is, of course, a superstar you should build your team around. We know that. But stylistically, in terms of that pass in particular, the bounce, the offhand, the look away, that's Jason Williams as much as it is Magic Johnson. And the fact that he has that at that size, presenting like a sloth, but moving like something closer to, I don't know, a flying squirrel, White Toblerone.
Toblerone, that's so interesting to me because, I mean, I would rather have chocolate than Toblerone with all that stuff in it.
Yeah, there's stuff
but
in it. European
Jokic,
too.
I saw a 2-minute clip today comparing Jokic's passes exactly to Magic Johnson's. Fascinating clip. It really was. Much closer than you would ever think. What's next?
Aaron Rodgers retiring would be blank.
It would be shocking to me. I know that Adam Schefter of ESPN has said he's hearing that it's possible that Aaron Rodgers would indeed retire. Okay, but he's going to go out on a very low note. I mean, if he retires now, his time with the Jets was really bad. You know, it didn't work at all.
That's a good vocabulary word. It was.
He lost a lot of credibility with the general public over the vaccine stuff. He lost credibility as a quarterback because he couldn't get very many wins. I just think if he goes out now, he'd be loath to go out now. Pittsburgh presents him with an opportunity for redemption. Pittsburgh's a playoff team. He can get much closer to a Super Bowl or get there with Pittsburgh than he ever could with the Jets, I think. Now, I'm willing to accept, Pablo, that if he doesn't sign with Pittsburgh, then he is saying that truly he doesn't think he can be a quarterback anymore. But what about the drama? What about the spotlight? Isn't that oxygen for him? So I would be shocked.
Well, that's why my word is semantic. I think he is talking about retirement, and this is a semantic discussion that is largely superficial. And also, to your point, what Aaron Rodgers became, mostly in terms of the last half decade of how he's lived his life, is an unreliable narrator. So I see this as an attempt to gain leverage. I see this as an attempt to gain oxygen by developing a story that really isn't all that complicated. The guy was so terrible that everybody who put trust in him got fired at his last job, and now he's trying to think of whether I can plausibly threaten to do the thing that everybody expects me to do. So look, I am somebody, Tony, who has made peace with the fact that Aaron Rodgers, even when he does actually retire, will never leave us. He's going to be podcasting. He's going to be on television. He'll be everywhere. He'll be selling you all sorts of stuff. He may even be wearing a doctor's coat just like you. So semantic.
That's so good.
A semantic distinction.
I like that word. While you were talking, I remembered the chocolate I specifically like a lot more than Toblerone, and it's Lindt, L-I-N-D-T. Have you ever had
got
that?
the stuff in
it's
there.
really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. That's the final word. Let's take one last break still to come. The Flyers have seen enough of John Tortorella.
And as Steph Curry looks to return to the court, the Warriors lose a different rotation player.
So if the Lindt people want to send me a big box of that, that'd be fun, because I really like that chocolate. Yeah, I like that chocolate.
As another great
Toblerone's
quarterback
tougher.
once said, I would like a
Happy time, people. Happy 32nd birthday, Clay Holmes. Juan Soto wasn't the only player to jump from the Yankees to the Mets in the offseason. Top reliever Holmes went as well. Holmes was an all-star closer for the Yankees last season, saving 30 games, 68 strikeouts in 63 innings. Now with the Mets, Holmes will be a starter. In fact, Holmes is the Mets' opening starter today. Holmes has started 4 big league games in his life and none since his rookie year in 2018. In spring training, Holmes went 19 1/3 innings and 5 starts with a 0.93 ERA. Holmes is starting today because 2 of the Mets starters are injured. One of the reasons Holmes went to the Mets was to become a starter.
Yeah, I'm at this point in my life where I'm weirdly, despite being an unrepented Yankees homer, jealous of the Mets and their new ownership. But Clay Holmes, man, I watched him blow 13 saves to lead the major leagues last year. A good choice to switch him to a starter. Also, bon voyage in general.
Happy anniversary, Shaka Smart. On this day 14 years ago, Smart, then just 33 years old, coached VCU past #1 seed Kansas and into the Final Four. Since then, Smart has grown hair and coached at Texas and then Marquette. In 6 seasons at Texas, Smart was 109-86, never got past the NCAA's first round. Now at Marquette, the Wisconsin native is 98-41. He reached a Sweet 16 last year, though went out in the first round last week. Smart has not utilized the transfer portal at all, opting to develop his own recruits. In fact, Marquette is the only major conference team that has not signed a transfer from another D1 school since the 2022-23 season. That is the Dabo Swinney playbook.
Yeah, he's always done things differently. It was 14 years ago that I covered that run that you mentioned to the Final Four. I was at Sports Illustrated. He started in the first 4. That was the history of it, and he was a wonderkid. He was one of these guys who immediately was considered a coaching prodigy. The Texas thing made me think, did I get something wrong? The Marquette thing makes me think he's doing it different, and it's kind of working, and that makes it even that much more impressive.
I found him to be a very likable fellow. Happy trails, John Tortorella. The Flyers fired their head coach this morning with just 9 games left in the season. Philly is second to last in the Eastern Conference. They've lost 11 out of 12. On Tuesday night, Tortorella took responsibility, saying, quote, "This falls on me. I'm not really interested in learning how to coach in this type of season where we're at right now, but I have to do a better job," unquote. Well, now you don't have to do a better job because you have no job. The 66-year-old Torts has coached 5 different teams. He won a Stanley Cup with Tampa Bay in 2004. I am guessing he'll get another chance or 3.
But he is on the books for 1 more year. He has another year of payment. And it's worth pointing out, since he left the Rangers, which is how I really first started thinking about Torts, he only made it past the first round once. So Another chance maybe, but I don't know if it's deserved.
I think he's going to get at least one more. One error today, and Pablo, it was yours naturally. Maryland is playing Florida tonight, not Texas Tech.
Yeah,
Arkansas is playing
yeah.
Texas Tech. Let's go to the big finish if we could. Anthony Davis is on track to play for the Mavs against the Magic tonight. Are you intrigued?
I am, because so much bad has happened to the Mavs that's not self-inflicted that getting him back makes it feel like a bit of manna from heaven. Orioles outfielder Tyler O'Neill, meanwhile, homered on opening day for the 6th straight year, Tony. Are you impressed?
Impressed? This is amazing. 4 in St. Louis, 1 with the Red Sox last year, now with the Orioles. Has anybody else ever done this? Warriors swingman Gary Payton is out indefinitely with a torn ligament in his left thumb. Is that significant?
It is. The Warriors are operating at the margins right now. Even with Jimmy Butler, they need that guy, defensively especially. Penn has named Fran McCaffrey as its new head basketball coach. Does that make sense?
He played there. He was an assistant there at one time. He's also a screamer. I don't know if that works in the Ivies. Last one, will Alexander Iala beat Jessica Pegula tonight in Miami?
Absolutely. Iala, Filipino origin. My family group texts out of control because of her. She's going to do it.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Pablo Torre. PTI is back on ESPN2 tomorrow. This is my show, Pablo Torre Finds Out. And this, I'm told, is SportsCenter.
Yeah. Did your family ever, is she a patient of the doctors in your family, Iala?
They wish.
Who cares that it's opening day? The Sweet 16 is happening momentarily.
Exactly. Let's start in the East region. Number 1 seed Duke is taking on Arizona tonight, and Duke hasn't lost a game since November, Coach. So what's going to be the determining factor in this matchup?
It's a Duke defense. Everything starts with the Duke defense. Everyone talks about Knipple. Everyone talks about Cooper Flagg. But you know what? It's their defense that dominates people. You blow out people by getting stops, their ability to protect the front of the rim. But the bigger thing is they build a wall around that three-point line, and they contest every shot. They're hard to penetrate on. They keep you on the perimeter. But if you get down in the lane, all of a sudden you got to deal with Common Malawach. And then they've got a new guy coming in. Look at that range right there by Cooper Flagg. His ability to see play early, use that 7'2" wingspan, gets him out in transition. But Malik Brown, if he plays and he's right there, his ability at 6'9" to defend the basketball, keep it in front, contest shots, he's a terrific passer. It starts with their defense. You don't blow people out by outscoring them. You actually blow people out by getting stops. They're the best perimeter defense in the country.
This should be such a good game. I'm looking forward to it. These two teams, remember, met in November, but
Yes.
let's call it a wash.
Ages ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I had hair in my head back then.
All different things have happened since then. Blue Devils, by the way, favored by 9.5 points tonight. The highest remaining seed right now, number 10 Arkansas, also in action against 3 seed in Texas Tech. Cal and the upset. You
Cal
like
and
it?
the Cinderella. Who would ever thought Cal as a Cinderella?
Never.
And he's playing it up for sure. And you look at this Arkansas team, they have a shot at this game. They're a 5-point underdog, but the key is what they're doing defensively. Their length defensively at the rim. Their physicality at the rim. Their ability to protect the front of the rim, which enables them to pressure the ball, knowing people are behind you. They've really done a good job in the last 5 weeks of the season, really locking in. And this is the other thing. Getting downhill. See Boogie Flagg getting downhill, drops off the dime, and Nellie Davis getting down the hill. They're averaging 24 free throws a game since that 0-5 start, and that is the key. The key is to be the aggressor. Get downhill, make plays. When you put the defense in rotation, it gets you to the offensive glass. Defend, be aggressive offensively. They got a shot at this one.
Yeah, a chance.
You talk about the Razorbacks being a 5.5-point underdogs. I mean, they're really embracing that underdog mentality, but definitely weird to hear that John Calipari and his team is an underdog.
He's best with a chip on his shoulder.
Exactly. More from Coach on the matchups in just a bit.
In the meantime, let's go to the NFL, where the Steelers are still waiting on a decision from Aaron Rodgers. There's an offer on the table, but it is not clear what the 4-time MVP is thinking about Pittsburgh or even playing next season. Both of the Steelers' quarterbacks from last year, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, have moved on. But Rodgers is literally the only starting quarterback left on the free agent market. The Titans and Browns are in the quarterback market as well, and they hold the 1st and 2nd overall picks in next month's draft, when Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders figure to hear their names called early. Our NFL insider, Dan Graziano, here with us now on the desk as we continue to talk about the quarterback carousel and the chair carousel.
Yes, this carousel too.
Which I love. The Browns added Kenny Pickett to their quarterback, and it's magic, to their quarterback room with obviously an injured Deshaun Watson. What can you tell us about what they'll do with the 2nd pick in the draft?
Look, if Cam Ward has separated himself as the top quarterback, Tennessee's either going to take him or you're going to have to give them a lot to move up. So the Browns, I think, would be interested in doing that if possible. Let's assume it's not. Let's live in a world where Tennessee takes him number 1. Is there enough separation for the Browns between Shedeur Sanders and the next level of quarterback in the draft that it would justify taking him at 2? If so, I think they do take him. But if not, they hold the first pick in the second round. You know, that enables you to maybe trade back into the first round, address quarterback a little bit later on, and not force the pick. So Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State, or obviously Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders' teammate, those would be the guys that would be in play for Cleveland if they made the choice to not go quarterback at that number 2 pick.